They laughed together. They cried together. They survived poverty, heartbreak, and even near death, together. But when the world tried to tear them apart, only one thing kept them standing, a friendship so deep, even blood would envy it. Welcome to Nightfall Tales by Wura, where true loyalty still exists. Stay close, tonight's story might just change how you see friendship. The small village of Ibukun had no hospital, no tarred roads, and no dreams except for two boys who dared to believe in each other. Tayo and Emeka met when they were only 10 years old. Tayo had just lost both parents in a road accident and was brought to Ibukun to live with his strict uncle. Emeka, who sold groundnuts after school, found Tayo crying behind the village stream one evening. Instead of asking questions, Emeka handed him half a bottle of Fanta and said, "If you want to cry, cry. But drink this first." That was how it started. From that day, they became inseparable. They fetched firewood together, carried blocks at construction sites, washed plates in local bars, even dropped out of school at the same time when their families couldn't afford fees. When people laughed at them, they laughed back. When people mocked their poverty, they made jokes louder than the pain. But what made their friendship special wasn't just the laughter. It was how they had each other's back, no matter what. One rainy day, Emeka was caught stealing bread. The shop owner raised a stick to beat him. Before the stick landed, Tayo jumped in and took the blow. "I told him to steal it," he said, even though it wasn't true. The shop owner let them go. That night, with bruises on Tayo's back, Emeka sat beside him and cried. "I will never let anyone hurt you again," he promised. Tayo smiled through the pain. "You're the only family I've got." And they meant it. Years passed. The boys became men. At 25, Emeka had started driving a kiki around town. Tayo, always good with his hands, worked as a mechanic in the back of an old iron shed. They were still poor. But they were happy. And more importantly, they were together. Until she came. Her name was Edaora. Beautiful. Quiet. Smart. She had just moved to Ibukun from Enugu to help her aunt who ran the local pharmacy. Tayo saw her first. He even joked about marrying her. But Emeka was the one who fell in love. He tried to hide it at first. Until one night, while they were roasting corn by the roadside, Tayo said something that would change everything. "You like her, don't you?" Emeka looked down. "I didn't want to." "You saw her first." Tayo smiled. "I saw her. You felt her." That night, Tayo did something only a true friend could do. He stepped aside. He never chased Edaora again. He even helped Emeka write his first love letter to her. "I'm not good with English," Emeka had said. "You're good with your heart," Tayo replied. Edaora and Emeka became a couple. And Tayo cheered for them, even when it hurt. Life was hard, but they were making it work. Until one fateful Sunday evening, when Tayo got into an accident while repairing a client's brake on a slope. The car rolled, trapping him under. People shouted. Some ran. Others just watched. Only one person ran straight into the danger, Emeka. Without thinking, Emeka lifted the hot metal with his bare hands, screaming until others joined to help. By the time they pulled Tayo out, his leg was broken, and he was unconscious. At the hospital, the doctor said Tayo might never walk properly again unless he got surgery in a better clinic, which would cost over 500,000 naira. They didn't have 50,000. But Emeka didn't waste time. He sold his only kiki. Borrowed from loan sharks. Even offered to work for free for a rich businessman just to raise the money. Everyone begged him to slow down. He didn't. "I'd rather lose everything," he said, "than lose my brother." The day Tayo opened his eyes in the hospital, his body was in pain, but not as much as his heart. He couldn't move his legs. Tears rolled down his cheeks before he even asked the question. "Will I walk again?" The doctor hesitated. "We'll do everything we can." But it was Emeka's face that hurt more to look at, swollen eyes, clothes soaked in dust, and hands that had been burned trying to lift that car. "Tayo," Emeka said gently, "you're alive. That's all that matters." Tayo wanted to scream. Wanted to shout. But he could only cry. "I'm a burden now." Emeka shook his head. "You saved me when we were boys. Let me save you now." That evening, Emeka did what no one else could do. He knelt before the same chiefadelic who once turned him down for work and said, "Sir, I will work for you every day, 7 days a week, for 5 years. No salary. Just give me the money for my friend's surgery." Chiefadelic looked at him like he was mad. "No salary? I don't need one. Just save my friend's legs." The chief finally agreed. And just like that, Emeka sold 5 years of his life so Tayo could walk again. The surgery was successful. Tayo walked again, slowly, painfully, but with hope. But something else was broken. Emeka was gone. He had disappeared from the hospital without a word. No goodbye. No explanation. Days turned to weeks. Weeks to months. Tayo searched everywhere, called, asked people, even went to Chief Adelik's mansion. But Emeka was never seen again. People began to whisper. Maybe he ran away with Wura. Maybe he got tired of being poor. Maybe the accident changed him. But Tayo never believed any of it. His heart refused to accept it. Because he knew Emeka. And Emeka wouldn't just leave. So every evening, Tayo sat by the front of the workshop, 2 chairs beside the door. One for him. One for his best friend. And even though the second chair stayed empty, he never moved it. 1 year passed. Tayo had returned to work, moving slowly but getting stronger. Wura had come back into town to visit her aunt, now married to a man from Bainway. She looked different. Wiser. Quieter. They spoke like old friends. But there was something she wasn't saying. Tayo could feel it. Then one night, after she visited him and left, he found a folded paper tucked under his pillow. It was Emeka's handwriting. Tayo. If you're reading this, it means I've failed to keep my promise. I was supposed to return in 3 months. But things didn't go as planned. They made me sign papers I didn't understand. They took my ID. My phone. I work like a slave now on a farm near the border. I didn't run from you. I ran toward your healing. I'm sorry I couldn't come back in time. But please, live your life. Stand. Walk. Smile. Even if I never return, remember, I never left. Your brother always. Emeka. Tayo wept like a baby. He held the letter to his chest. Slept with it like it was a person. And when he woke up, he whispered to the morning sun. I will find you, Emeka. Even if I have to crawl to the ends of the earth. I will bring you home. Tayo didn't tell anyone. Not Wura. Not his aunt. Not even the police. He just packed a bag, took the little money he had saved, and disappeared into the rising sun like a man possessed. He carried nothing but the letter, a small photograph of him and Emeka as boys, and a name scribbled at the bottom of the note. Camp Zuba, near River Ndu, no signpost. No one had heard of the place. Every bus driver shook their head. Every commercial bikeman laughed and said, forget that one, Oga. Even police no go there. But Tayo didn't stop. He walked when no one would carry him. Slept under trailers. Ate nothing but Gary and water. His leg, still healing from surgery, bled through the bandage. But he kept going. Because a man once gave up his life for him. And now it was his turn. When he reached Camp Zuba, he almost didn't recognize it as a place where human beings lived. No walls. No electricity. Just rows of mud shacks, and men who looked like walking skeletons. Some carried firewood. Some pushed wheelbarrows. Others, just stared at the sky like it had forgotten him. Tayo approached an old man boiling cassava by the roadside. "Please. I'm looking for someone. His name is Emeka Osandu." The old man's eyes twitched. "You're not supposed to be here," he whispered. "They don't like visitors." "I came to take him home," Tayo said, voice cracking. The man stood up and pointed to a wooden hut. "He doesn't talk much anymore. Some say he's mad. But he's still alive." Tayo's legs shook as he ran toward the hut. His heart pounded. He called his name once. "Emeka?" A figure slowly rose from inside the hut. He was thinner. Darker. His eyes were sunken. His back hunched. His palms were full of cuts and calluses. But it was him. When he saw Tayo, he didn't speak. He didn't move. Tears just dropped from his eyes, and he whispered the only words he could find. "You came." Tayo fell on his knees and held his best friend tight. "I told you. I would find you. Even if I had to crawl." That night, Tayo couldn't sleep. Neither could Emeka. They sat under a tree and caught up like brothers who had waited a lifetime to speak. But the happiness didn't last. The next morning, one of the guards saw them packing. "You think this is a hotel?" He grabbed Emeka by the shirt. Tayo stepped in. "Leave him. He's going home with me." The guard slapped Tayo. He fell hard. "Go back before you die here," the guard barked. Tayo stood again. "I didn't come this far to go back alone." That night, they made a plan. At 2 a.m., under heavy rain, while everyone slept, they escaped through the back bush trail, barefoot, bleeding, with only a cutlass to guide their path. They hid in an abandoned drainage pipe till sunrise. No food. No water. No map. But they had each other. And in the silence, with thunder roaring above them, Emeka finally said, "Even if I died in that place, I never stopped praying you'd come." Tayo looked at him and smiled weakly. "That's why I did. Because you never left me." By dawn, the entire camp had discovered the escape. The men who ran the place, thugs in army boots and torn uniforms, were furious. They couldn't have gone far, one of them shouted, loading a rusty pump-action gun. Word spread across every footpath, every checkpoint, every local bar in the area. 2 fugitives. One tall, one limping. Big reward for capture, or their heads. Tayo and Emeka had made it to the edge of the nearby town, hiding behind a half-burnt filling station. Their clothes were soaked, their stomachs empty, their feet blistered beyond repair. "I can't go on," Tayo whispered, struggling to stay upright. But Emeka lifted him over his shoulder. "You carried me in your heart for 1 year. Let me carry your body for 1 more hour." They kept moving, through farms, behind parked trailers, over streams. And at every turn, they heard the same chilling sound. Motorcycles. Barking dogs. Whistles. The hunters were close. By the 3rd day, Tayo's body gave up. His temperature spiked. His leg, still recovering from the surgery, turned purple. His lips cracked. His eyes rolled. Emeka found an abandoned mechanic's shop in the next town and laid him on the cold cement floor. "Just breathe," Emeka whispered. "Please. Breathe." He ran out, begging strangers for help. Most turned away. One kind woman offered water. Another gave him antibiotics meant for her child. He crushed the tablets, mixed it with pap, and fed Tayo slowly, whispering his name like a prayer. "Stay with me, Tayo. You didn't come this far to die in my arms. You're the only reason I didn't go mad." That night, Tayo's breathing slowed. His eyes fluttered. Then, stopped. "Tayo!" Emeka screamed, shaking him. He pounded on his chest. Screamed louder. "I won't let you leave me." And just when it seemed all hope was lost, Tayo gasped. And Emeka collapsed beside him, crying like a child. They couldn't run anymore. Not with Tayo that week. So Emeka made the hardest decision of his life. He walked into a police station. Surrendered himself. Told them everything, the illegal labor camp, the abuse, the men who ran it, even the location. At first, the officers laughed at him. You think we don't know about Camp Zuba? But one inspector listened. A young officer from the city, with a sister who had once vanished the same way. He believed Emeka. And 2 days later, they raided the camp. They found 43 men trapped there. Chains. Guns. Rotten food. Even unmarked graves. It became national news. Tayo, still recovering, watched from the hospital bed as Emeka was praised on the 9 o'clock news, the whistleblower who brought down a slave camp. But instead of celebrating, Emeka was arrested. For entering the country illegally and unauthorized labor agreements. And as they placed the cuffs on his wrists, Emeka looked at the camera and said, I'm not a hero. I just never left my friend. The courtroom in Ilorin was packed. Cameras rolled. Bloggers whispered. Social media buzzed. The man who exposed Camp Zuba is now on trial? It didn't make sense. But there Emeka stood thin, handcuffed, silent, wearing a cheap brown prison uniform and calm eyes that had seen too much. The prosecutor was merciless. Your Honor, this man entered into a 5-year illegal labor agreement. He signed the papers. He did the work. The government never authorized it. He's a criminal. The judge, an older woman with piercing eyes, leaned forward. And what do you plead? Emeka stood. Guilty of saving my friend. That's all. The room gasped. Outside the courtroom, protesters gathered. Some held signs. Free the hero. Lovers of justice stand with Emeka. But inside, the law still needed evidence. And that's when the door opened. Tayo stepped into the courtroom limping, still healing, but stronger than ever. He wore a clean white shirt and carried a file in one hand. His eyes didn't blink. He walked to the front. I want to testify. The prosecutor laughed. And who are you? Tayo didn't raise his voice. He didn't argue. He just said one sentence that made the entire room freeze. I am the reason he signed that paper. He told the story, every detail. The accident. The surgery. The sacrifice. The escape. The betrayal. The abuse. Everything. He showed the letter. The scars. The hospital receipts. Even photos of Emeka's hands, blistered from labor. And when he finished, he walked over to Emeka, and stood beside him. Your Honor, if this man is going to prison for what he did to save me, then please, give me the same sentence. Silence. Even the judge looked away to wipe her eyes. The next morning, judgment was delivered. The nation held its breath. Even Emeka looked calm, prepared for the worst. But the judge cleared her throat and said, I have served in this courtroom for 35 years. I've seen criminals. I've seen liars. I've seen men try to cheat the system. She looked directly at Emeka. But I have never, ever, seen a man who gave up his freedom just to save his friend's legs. She paused. You are guilty of illegal labor, yes. But you are more guilty of something this country desperately needs, selfless love. The courtroom wept. I hereby sentence you to go home. People clapped. Cameras flashed. Even the bailiff smiled. Emeka's hands were uncuffed. And before the guards could even react, Tayo threw his arms around him in the middle of the courtroom. No words. Just tears. And a whisper. I told you I'd bring you home. It was a quiet evening in Offa town when Emeka and Tayo arrived home. No cameras. No press. Just two friends walking barefoot along the dusty red road, breathing fresh air. The small compound where they once laughed as boys was still there. Tayo's mother, Mama Dupe, was sitting on the veranda. Her back was weak, but her heart still strong. When she saw the two of them, she froze, then dropped her bowl of beans. Yezumi oh! Tayo? Emeka? She ran. She hugged them both so tightly her knees gave out. She wept like a child. I thought I'd buried two sons. But God has returned them to me. That night, the compound was alive. Neighbors gathered. Children danced. Emeka told jokes. Tayo played guitar. But deep down, Emeka's smile didn't reach his eyes. He had survived pain, but pain had changed him. A popular TV station aired their story. The Man Who Never Left, a tale of friendship stronger than blood. The internet exploded. News outlets interviewed them. NGOs gave them money. Churches invited them to speak. Even the governor sent an award. But Emeka avoided the cameras. I didn't do it to be famous, he whispered to Tayo. I just didn't want to lose you. Tayo noticed something else. Emeka now walked at night. Alone. He would sit by the old riverbank, staring into the water. One night, Tayo followed him. What are you looking for? Myself, Emeka said. I left him somewhere between the machines and the silence. Tayo sat beside him. No words. Just presence. But in that moment, Tayo knew. Survival wasn't healing. And love couldn't erase scars. One morning, Mama Dupe found a small black book under Emeka's pillow. She opened it. It was a diary. Page after page of entries from Camp Zuba. Every pain. Every doubt. Every dark thought. Every time Emeka thought of ending it all. There was one line that broke her. I miss Tayo, but I don't want him to see me like this. I'm not a man anymore. I'm a machine with bones. Mama Dupe rushed to Tayo with the book. Tayo sat under the mango tree reading it, shaking, heart crushed. Tears fell onto the pages. He ran to the backyard where Emeka sat fixing a broken radio. Why didn't you tell me? Tell you what? That you were breaking. Because you already had enough pain, Tayo. Silence. Then Emeka stood, his voice low. You brought me home, but I'm still trapped inside. Tayo stepped forward. Then let me walk with you, until you're free. And in that moment, something broke in Emeka like a wall falling down. He hugged Tayo tight, his tears hot and free. Weeks passed, and Emeka slowly began to smile again. He started teaching at the community school, sharing his story with young boys, mentoring them, guiding them away from the streets. But on a rainy morning, Tayo walked into Emeka's room and found it empty. Only a single letter lay on the bed. A handwritten note. Carefully folded. He picked it up, hands trembling. It read, My brother, my savior, my Tayo. You gave me back my life. But now it's time I give back to others what you gave me. I have been called to join a humanitarian mission in northern Borno. A war zone. They need teachers. They need men who won't run. Don't be angry. Don't come after me. If I don't return, know that I never left. I live in your strength. Yours forever. Emeka. Tayo fell to the floor. His chest tightened. His soul screamed. Why didn't you let me come with you? He ran out into the street, letter in hand, heart in his mouth. But Emeka was gone. Months passed. No news. No letters. No calls. Tayo waited by the gate every evening. The town whispered, Emeka must be dead. But Tayo refused to believe it. He kept a candle burning in Emeka's room. Every night. Then one quiet evening, just before sunset, a motorbike pulled up to the compound. Covered in dust. Clothes torn. A man stepped down, lean, darker, older, but smiling. Mama Dupe screamed first. Then Tayo turned. It was Emeka. He limped forward, tears falling. I couldn't die. Not when my best friend was waiting. Tayo rushed and embraced him like a brother reborn. That night, they sat in silence under the mango tree, just like boys again. No words. No need. Two men. Two souls. One friendship that even death could not break. And somewhere far away, a new child was born in the village. His parents named him Tayo and Emeka. A name that means, joy and loyalty never die. This is Nightfall Tales by Wura. Where every tale is a heartbeat, and every story leaves a scar. Sometimes, it's not the battles we fight that define us, but the hands that hold us while we bleed. In a world where betrayal is common, and loyalty is rare, Tayo and Emeka showed us that true friendship doesn't shout, it stays. It forgives. It sacrifices. It never leaves. And even when the world forgets your name, a real friend will always remember your soul. This has been The Man Who Never Left. A story of loyalty, pain, healing, and the unbreakable bond between two men. You've been watching Nightfall Tales by Wura, where every tale leaves a scar and a lesson. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because some stories deserve to be remembered.